Hello and welcome to the Franchise Tag Podcast with me, your host, Freddie Hall, joined once again with Adam and Andrew back again. We are getting ever closer to the playoffs, and what a hell of a weekend it was of football. I know my camera's looking a bit different tonight. My laptop's not working, so I'm working on my phone here. First things first, we'll get it out of the way with, because then we can just move on and be mature adults about this. But yes, I have decided I'm going to start rocking a mustache for a little bit. I just wanted to change up. It has had mixed reviews within the family and online from the sounds of it. Well, my brother texted me going, I saw your Instagram story of the franchise tag and it was shocking. And I was like, oh no, what, the video was bad? He was like, no, the mustache. I didn't realize you were going for that now. So you can point your phone, you can jibe and joke around now and give him the floor to do it.
It's a look. I'll give you that. It's a look. So, that's as far as I go. It's a look.
I didn't think you were going to go straight in with mustache. He was like, we'll get it out of the way with. I thought, we're going to talk about Antonio Brown for a little bit. It's like, no mustache. I was like, oh, okay.
This is the real shocking thing. No, not Antonio Brown isn't shocking. This is the real shocking thing.
Well, yeah, I'm going to be rocking with it for a little bit. Thank you for your support on social media of people who have said it's good. It has not been many, admittedly. But I don't care. It's all right. Water off duck's back. I'm not bothered. It's my look. It's how I like it. So I'm going to rock it for a little bit. We can briefly talk about Antonio Brown, if you like, and the madness that happened after we released a video earlier today with myself talking about the Antonio Brown situation, seeing what you guys out there thinking about that. Shocking is a word you could use, but again, not shocking because of what Antonio's behaviour has been in the past. Andrew, is there two sides to this story, really? Because now Bruce it's come out about what Bruce Arians said to him on the sideline. Do you think there is a bit of a defence for him to get so upset?
I mean, he's basically just done what everybody in their whole life has wanted to do but never had the balls to do. Where, he's injured, he didn't want to play. His boss has said, tough, you've got to play. And he's gone, tough, I'm out. I mean, how often have you wanted to do that at a previous job? Just go, you know what, boss, stuff it, I'm off, and just get in an Uber and go home. So, there's an element of that. But yeah, at that level and the media that is around that, you just can't really do it that way, can you?
Do you reckon Adam ever plays again? Does the team go and get him? Would the Green Bay Packers be interested?
No, I can't see the Packers going for him at all. No, I get the feeling that he probably won't, to be honest. I think this might be the last one. You kind of like, you get it a lot, don't you, with teams like this. It's like we want you to be all in no matter what, and even if you do have a bit of an injury, it doesn't seem to matter. They still want you to be playing all the time and be all in. Yeah, it's a bit of a weird one. I like you say, what's come out today, saying that he was injured, or at least he said he was injured. They obviously, probably don't necessarily believe he's as injured as what he says he is. But yeah, I can't see him at another team, because it's just been one thing after the other, isn't it? And it kind of felt like Brady was the one who was keeping him on the straight and narrow. And it's clearly not worked this year. It might have done last year, but it's not worked this year. Yeah, I'd be surprised if he comes back in the NFL anyway.
I mean, these guys won a Super Bowl together last year, and Tom Brady really went out on a limb to get him in, when no one else really did believe in him or think that he could get back to a good level. And he has played some absolutely cracking football for the Bucs. He has been really sensational at times. But it has just been one thing after the other. And you could tell, I know there's Brady haters out there. Like, we know a few of them in the league, and we can argue what we like about Tom Brady, but his reaction, how he was on the podium after the game, I thought spoke 1,000. He spoke words, but it spoke 1,000 more words really about how this guy plays the game and how he is with players, and the heart he actually has for it all. Because a lot of people say, Brady's got Brown in because he wants to win us another Super Bowl. It's all about the Brady show, really, in his own mind. But it could be just playing up to the cameras. I don't know. We don't know that. It could be all falsities for all we know. But on the face of it, he seemed generally hurt about Antonio Brown's reaction and about him leaving the team in the way that it's all gone down. So I do feel I don't feel for Tom Brady because Tom Brady's still going to be a winner and he's still going to do well with the Bucs, and the Bucs are going to do well in the playoffs, which we'll get onto. But I feel for him that he's invested a lot of time and effort with this guy for it to blow up so spectacularly. But Antonio Brown's been a ticking time bomb for a long time. I have to admit, for the first time ever when it happened, I was more. I felt I wasn't angry or like found it funny. I just feel sorry for him, like because there's clearly something up with him where he's not being diagnosed for it, and he's not healthy in his mind. I don't believe, and for the first time I felt sympathy for him, but he maybe needs to go and get some real help because there's just been this string of craziness that follows him everywhere, and I almost feel sorry for him. So. Yeah, I don't think he will ever play again, but I think what's important for him now is Antonio Brown needs to get the help that he should have got a long time ago for the issues that he has in his life, clearly, because there is a string of them to be found, I can imagine. But less about Antonio Brown, more about the playoffs. We've got in week 17, week 18 next week, the last week of the regular season. It's felt like a long old season, admittedly, so far, and yet we've still got a couple of weeks to go. But we'll talk about all things playoffs today. I mean, the road to the playoffs is pretty much secure, and most of the teams right now in that bracket are maybe going to be going through. But we're going to talk about that some more, and then it'll be on to the playoffs, and then on to the road to the Super Bowl. And for all your betting needs whilst the playoffs are on, heading into the Super Bowl, you want to bet on the Gatorade color in the Super Bowl. You want to bet on the FC champions, the NFC champions, who's going to be winning the wild card games. Go and check out Star Sports Betting. They are our affiliates at Star Sports Betting for all your NFL betting needs this season and in the playoffs as well. Find them in our link on Twitter. If you sign up with them, just let them know that we sent you there. Just put the F tag in the notes there when you sign up. So Star Sports Betting, go and check them out today. Like I said, a lot of the teams solidified in the playoffs now. The Titans, the Chiefs, the Bengals winning the AFC North, which is something I don't think anyone thought was going to happen at the start of the year. The Packers, the Rams, the Bucs, the Cowboys all solidified pretty much. The Bills and the Pats sort of solidified. There's going to be that's still a battle for the AFC East. But so far, we've got the Titans, the Chiefs, the Bengals, the Bills in that 1, 2, 3, 4 spot, and currently in the wildcard spots for the AFC, the Pats, the Colts, and the Chargers. In the NFC, we've got the Packers, the Rams, Bucs, and Cowboys at the 1 to 4 seeds, with the 5 to 6, 7 seeds being the Cardinals, the 49ers, and the Philadelphia Eagles. When we talk about who's going through currently, Adam, is there any surprises in there for you from the start of the season?
I think the Eagles is probably a bit of a surprise for all of us. And then, as you said, the Bengals, not so much that it's a massive surprise that they're in the playoffs, but maybe it's a surprise that they've won the division. I think we all thought the Bengals would improve a lot more. I know I've kind of been championing them all the way through the season started off as a bit of a joke, but now we sort of like just carry on. But yeah, I think the real one to me that is the big shock is the Eagles. I don't think anyone really felt like they were going to come along and have a 9-7, potentially 10-7 season and be in the playoffs. But they've hit on a formula that works, and it's worked really well for them, and it's very Patriot-like, their formula. They've got the big tight end, they've got the run game, and it's going really well for them. And I think they're going to be one that you probably don't want to play in the playoffs.
In regards to the NFC East, obviously, Andrew, it being your division as well, with the Giants in there, it regularly gets mocked as the worst division in football, regularly. Not just by us, but by a lot of people, and yourself included sometimes with that as well. Are we all wrong about that? Because this is the second time that two of these NFC East teams have got into the playoffs. And is it just a testament to how competitive the NFC is? Or is it that really the teams in the NFC East are better than people maybe make out?
I mean, the main thing you've got to remember is with how weak that division is, they all play each other. And they all play each other twice. So you've got that more opportunity to win more games than you have if you're in any of the other divisions, because you're going to come up against maybe a really strong team, a playoff contender, and then there's you there fighting it out. But when you play in each other twice a year, you're ever likely to be able to get those sort of 7 wins that might clinch you, and then you just pick up one here and there against some of the, your Jags, your Houston, your Lions. You pick up a few wins against them, you're in the playoffs. So I don't think it's necessarily that division shocked anyone or it's strong. I think the Eagles being the team that has done it is the surprising thing, because of how good Washington were last year, and Giants having improved what we thought had improved their roster. I think Eagles were the ones we had as the ones that were behind those 3. But yeah, I think it's going to be an easy division to get out of based on the fact you all play each other.
And we talk predominantly really about the NFC there, but we'll look on the AFC side of things. I'll say the surprising team, but the team I'm surprised about making it into the playoffs is the New England Patriots. Because at the start of the year, they drafted Mac Jones. Mac Jones was seen as not the best quarterback in that draft class, with Trevor Lawrence, Zach Wilson, Trey Lance in there. He was seen as maybe, at least mobile, at least athletic, but still accurate. But a lot of people said that he was the most NFL-ready quarterback. Andrew, yourself included in that argument when we talked about that at the start of the season. Yes, it's a surprise. Well, no, it's not a surprise because it's Bill Belichick. It's New England Patriots. They're always competitive. But still, when we looked at their roster and the moves they made in the offseason and things like that, did the signs point, Adam, here that the Patriots were going to try and make the big push for the playoffs this year?
I think it was that they brought in a lot of good players in free agency. I mean, they brought in some that weren't so good as well, but they did bring in a lot of good players and guys that you kind of felt like would make a difference. Not only that, they had a lot of them come back as COVID opt-outs from the year before. I mean, that's something that I think everyone kind of forgets a little bit. So not only did you have some really good players come in, you also had some come back as well. And so it kind of, compared to the 2020 season, it kind of felt like it was like a brand new roster. I suppose it was more about getting everyone together and blending them together and making sure that it worked. But I mean, you've got a coach there that's, it's you do it his way and that's the end of it. So they've either got to get with it or get out, kind of thing. I do feel some people have stepped up as well that maybe we weren't thinking. Hunter Henry has been huge for them this year. Damien Harris was a running back who had been there for a couple of years, but has really sort of cemented the number 1 role and has kind of done very well with it. I think looking back on it, we probably all were saying, don't know what they're going to do. It's going to be a bit difficult and stuff like that. But when you actually see who they did bring in and the way they play, it kind of does work. So it's not a massive surprise. It's a bit of a surprise that they are competing with the Bills as much as they have done. But part of me wonders whether that's more because the Bills' offense has struggled a bit more than what we all thought it would.
Yeah, you hit nail on the head there. We all thought the Bills would run away with this division, and they really haven't. The Patriots are going to be competing until the last game next week. The Patriots are playing the Dolphins in Miami. Notoriously, a place where the Patriots haven't done that great in recent years. They've lost a couple of games there, and the Bills are playing. They host the Jets, so there's a Bills win there. We could imagine. What do you reckon, Andrew? Do you think Patriots maybe pit Bills for the division title, or do you think the Bills are going to get it? And do you think what Adam sort of touched on it about why haven't the Bills ran away with that division? Because, like we said, Mac Jones, rookie quarterback, the Patriots got in players that they needed to gel together. They've had some hits. They have had some misses, admittedly, with some of the players that they've brought in. But it is, it's a woefully weak division. The Dolphins have been on a very good run of recent. We're not good to start the year, and the Jets have been the Jets. Are you equally as surprised that this is going to the wire, really, in this division?
Yeah, I think that's the main thing. I think before the season started, I said don't sleep on the Patriots. I think it'll be better. They have got a lot of comeback people. They've gone back to the tight ends. But I think even after all of that, I think I only had them winning like 9 games. I thought they were around a 9-game winning team, and it would depend on how well they did against the Dolphins, really. I thought the Bills would run away with it. So I think the most surprising thing is they might finish with 11 wins for me. That's a lot more than what I thought. I thought 9 was their limit. So that's the only surprising thing. The fact they've made the playoffs is not overly surprising, because that would have, in some seasons would have been enough. They've addressed the areas that they were weak on, the Patriots did, and that's why they've done well. Whereas for me, the Bills didn't. Their run game, they haven't. I still don't feel like they address it. They're going to play the Jets, the Patriots. They play at home in a cold place. Come the winter, you're going to need to run the ball. Patriots have always known that, and that's what they do well now. Whereas the Bills just, for some reason, have gone, no, it's fine. But every time they get to the end of the season, the playoffs, it's run game we're talking about, because it's cold. So yeah, I feel like it's not surprising that the Bills have tailed off, because it's the same conversation we had last year.
Yeah, that's for sure. Let's move on to week 18, really, and to what could potentially happen, because not all these teams have solidified their place. The 49ers are a team that could bow out of it. The Chargers are a team that could bow out of it. I mean, we're sort of looking at who's going to win what game and things like that. And, I've got my results I think will happen here. My final table for the AFC, I've got the exact same top 4: Titans, Chiefs, Bengals, Bills. I think Titans get the number 1 seed. And then I've got the Patriots at 5, the Colts at 6, and the Raiders slipping in with 10 and 7, because they need to win, I believe. In fact, now that my computer's finally loaded up, I can have a look at the what they need to do and what all teams need to do to be able to get into the playoffs. I believe the Raiders just need to win to be able to get in, is what I remember. Here we go. Let's get Adam Rappaport's tweet up earlier that he had out about it. Here we go. So it's going to take a moment to load now, I reckon. But yeah, so the Raiders have a chance to get in if the Raiders win, which I think they will beat the Chargers, and I think they slip in spot there. I think the Chargers then dip out of it. Again, like I said, Titans, Chiefs, Bengals, Bills, Pats, Colts, I'm going to keep in there. Adam, in regards to week 18 wins and losses, have you still got the same bracket of teams going through?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, I think the Bills will win their game at home to the Jets, so they'll still come in 4th. That won't be a problem for them. I think that, the Patriots will stay and the Colts will stay there. Chargers, Raiders, I don't know. I mean, it's like I said earlier today, it's 2 teams that just bottle it all the time. They find a way to lose, these teams. It's unbelievable. The one thing I would say, and one stat I did see, was that the Chargers, the amount of points that the Chargers have actually scored this year is 442. The Raiders have scored 339.
Wow.
And when you look at how many they've conceded, there's not actually that much difference. In a one-off game, the Chargers are the team that are most likely to score more points, but they're away. It's a divisional game as well, so you just don't know. Like I say, both of these teams find a way to lose. It wouldn't shock me if it's a tie. It really wouldn't.
I don't want it to be a tie as a Steelers fan, because if it's a tie, then the Steelers can't get through. I think the Steelers scenario is Pittsburgh win, Indianapolis loses, and the Raiders Chargers game does not end in a tie. So I'd rather no tie, so the Steelers have at least a little bit of a chance. And of course, I have to hope everything on the Jacksonville Jaguars just being a little bit good, just a tiny bit better than what they have been. Andrew, what about yourself? Sorry, go on, Adam. Sorry.
The only thing for me personally, I prefer the Chargers as a team. I just think they play better. But I mean, it would be so typical of the Raiders to do what they're doing, but at the same time, it would be typical of the Chargers to screw it up as well. So yeah, I really don't know, but I'd go for the Chargers.
Are you telling me that you are now not bought into the Raiders since the departure of John Gruden? Because that was your problem with the Raiders.
I don't think I was bought into the Raiders at any point, really.
What about yourself, Andrew? What's your AFC final table looking like?
Yeah, my final table's Titans, Chiefs, Bengals, Bills for 1, 2, 3, 4. And then I've got Pats, Colts, and Chargers. So I've got the Chargers winning. I just think they're a better organisation. I feel like although I have said on virtually every show they're my Raiders to what Adam says, but I just feel like they are a bit more consistent, and I see a bit more from them that I would put my money on them over the Raiders if I was actually gambling on it. So I think that's why I'd go for the Chargers over that. I came up with a stat for you earlier, Freddie, didn't I? The Colts haven't won in Jacksonville since 2014. Surely you've got to be fingers crossed in that. That's still the curse.
I mean, I'm fingers crossed a little bit for it. I mean, if the Steelers play like they did yesterday against the Browns, if they had been doing that for the most of the season, I'd go, right, okay, we're going to get in the playoffs and we may make a good run of it. I think we'd probably bow out anyway, even if we do get to into the wild card. I don't think we are going to get through. We played spectacularly yesterday, not yesterday on Monday night, I suppose, against the Browns. But yeah, a little bit too little, too late in a way. And Big Ben's swan song as well. So it seemed like he's probably not going to be returned now. It seems pretty much all but confirmed. But the Steelers quarterback situation will definitely be a show for another day. I think we've got a lot of that to discuss in the off season, whether it be Aaron Rodgers, Russell Wilson, another veteran, a rookie quarterback, Mason Rudolph, Dwayne Haskins. Again, a massive conversation for another day, I can imagine. On the NFC side of things, I've still got the Packers topping it. I've got Packers, Rams, Bucks, Cowboys, the top four. And then I've got the Cards. I've got the Saints sneaking in with the Eagles as well in there as well. That's with the 49ers dropping out and the Saints going in. I believe that scenario would only happen if it loads up for me. New Orleans win, San Francisco lose. And San Francisco are playing the Rams. I think that'll be a close game, but I think that'll be a bit of a clutch thing for the Rams. I think they really want to win the division. I think they seem to be winning well at the minute, and they seem to have found their groove back again. And they're looking really good. They had a good game at the weekend, and it would be the Saints beating the Falcons. That again is a very 50-50 game. I just believe in the Saints' defense over their offense, and I think they can really shut down Matt Ryan and that struggling offense as well. So yeah, I've got Saints just sneaking in. What about yourself, Adam?
Yeah, I like the Saints for this game. I mean, I know they're away, but the Falcons haven't got anything to play for. Their defense is awful. So, and also I do think with the Saints, although we all know that the offense is the defense is kind of their main strength. The offense, now that Taysom Hill's back and Alvin Kamara, it kind of worked a little bit on Sunday, and it kind of feels like they might be able to get going a little bit more. I've liked the 49ers all the way since they've managed to get all their guys healthy. But it did kind of work with Trey Lance, but it took half the game in order for him to get going. And maybe that's probably just because he's a rookie and he needs time. They don't know if Jimmy G's back or not. He might be back, he might not. I just think going away to the Rams in a divisional game as well, I think the Rams are going to want to make a point of winning it. And I just feel like, although the Falcons-Saints game is divisional, I just feel like the Falcons just don't have anything to play for, and that'll be enough.
Well, they're playing for draft pick, aren't they, really, now for where they're going to be picking in the draft. Never know, you might see Jimmy G in the black and yellow next year. That could be an option, I suppose. Andrew, what about your NFC?
I've gone for Packers, Rams, Bucks, Cowboys, 1, 2, 3, 4. Cardinals, 49ers, Eagles. You say that the Falcons haven't got anything to play for, but if I was the Falcons, I'd definitely be trying my hardest to make sure a divisional rival didn't get through to the playoffs. No?
Good point.
I get it. I do understand that way of thinking. To me, I think if you put both of them on the field in a game that both teams were still fighting to get a playoff or to get a win for, I still think I'd go for the Saints.
Saints have got a bit of history as well with I think the refs might be on the Falcons side when it comes to playoffs and things. So I've still got them. I've got the Falcons winning it. Also, the Rams come in second. I think it's really, really important they come second because you get that matchup in week 1. You're not going to get the bye. I think you definitely want to be playing who's in 7th, which I've got the Eagles. So you want to be playing the Eagles over the 49ers in my eyes. But I don't know. You guys have got different 6th and 7th spots, haven't you? So
yeah, I mean, I really like the Eagles at the moment. I think they've found something. It's weird. It makes me feel uneasy saying these things about Philadelphia. But I do feel like they found something. I wouldn't want to be playing them in any game. I think whoever gets them, whether they come 6th or 7th, I think it's going to be a tough one, home or away. You know, I think the Eagles have they've definitely got something going on here, and I think, I'm not saying they're going to win the whole thing, but they've definitely got the ability to get themselves a playoff win, I think.
yeah, I think they've got that. I know when they went on their big Super Bowl runs and they were contesting and they won the Super Bowl, I think Freddie picked up on that season that they were playing with a lot of heart, and they had a lot of players that were really, like, it meant a lot to them, and it was like there was so much pride. I know you spoke about Jason Kelsey's speech and things like that at the parade and stuff like that, and you're really committed.
Best speech of all time.
You were really committed to him on that season. I know you gave them a lot of props and followed them, but I feel like after that they got too big for their boots. They built statues. They thought they were a bit more elitist, and I think they're after being bad for a little while, they've got back to that Eagles heart. I think that really does solidify a team and brings them in and makes them play better. And I think that's what we're kind of saying. They're getting back to a bit of Eagles spirit, which is horrible to say for me, but it is noticeable that even you guys are saying it. So yeah, they've kind of been knocked off the pedestal a bit, and now they're back to that sort of heart. So yeah, I think that's what it could be.
Well, yeah, if a team like that plays that way, then they can beat anyone on their day. And the Philadelphia Eagles are, if not the team that does that the most. They really have got a good outfit out there, and they've really found some confidence. I've not watched many of their games in the last few weeks. Admittedly, I've not caught a lot of them. But I've seen highlights, I've seen the stats, and I've seen the wins and losses, and they're finding a groove. I think the discussion of Jalen Hurts has been put to bed a bit now. I think they believe in him. They want him going forward. And it wouldn't shock me if they do a lot better next year. It might be, Nick Sirianni has clearly got a plan. I mean, what is their record's 9-7. If he just gets a couple more maybe younger playmakers, I think they could really take a good push next year for even more. We talked about who was surprised was in there. Who are we surprised about not being there? Because I'm looking at who's eliminated here, and there's the obvious ones. Obviously, there's the Jags and the Lions, the Texans. They're not going to be in the conversation. But on the NFC side of things, Andrew,
sorry, quickly, can we just include the Giants in that as well? In that list?
Well, as you probably could tell at the time when I was just reading that, is the Giants do come next, and I was just trying to be a bit polite to him. I didn't want to hurt his, he's the Sacco. He's got to hear about the Giants. I don't want to pile the pressure all on him, and all the misery on him. But on the NFC side of things, Andrew, who are you surprised hasn't made it?
I think when I'm personally looking at down the board, I think the Seahawks for me before the season started, I know they lost Russell Wilson to injury for a lot of the time, but I think a lot of us had them pegged to be in the hunt or in there and thereabouts. So for me, that's probably a surprise. I think the only other one, I thought the Vikings with the players that they've got, they might be still in the hunt and being spoke about in the playoffs. But apart from that, I think my 1 to 6 that I've got, I think are the ones I all expected. It's just that 7th spot that hasn't. And for me, I thought it might have been Seahawks or Vikings before the season started.
What about yourself?
Yeah, I think looking at the NFC, I understand why you say the Seahawks. I was kind of a little bit down on them anyway before the season started, and I'm not overly shocked. The Vikings, I mean, I've been saying they've been mediocre for God knows how long. And, look at where they finished and what record they're going to be on. So it's, they're 7 and 9 at the moment. It's what, 8 and 9 best, They've
got the Bears, and the Bears have not looked bad in the last few weeks defensively, especially.
So, another team that I really, with the NFC, there's not a lot of surprises. Like I say, I can understand the Seahawks argument, but it wasn't for me. When it comes to the AFC, the Browns have been one of the most disappointing teams this year, and that's we as you said, we could do a whole episode on that as well. I mean, just on disappointing teams, I am amazed at how poorly they've been. I was expecting them to do a lot better. They brought in some really good free agents, and it felt like it was gelling together. And I feel it's difficult with Baker because I don't think he's the real deal. I don't think they should be paying him a load of money. But he has been injured for a lot of this year, and it feels like that's had a big effect on it. And obviously everything with OBJ as well has had an effect on it. The only other team who I do feel like, because of the players that they have, should have done better is Denver. I do feel like they should have done better. They should have had a better record. They've got a really good defense that they've had for a long time. Some really good wide receivers in Cortland Sutton and Jerry Jeudy, and and Tim Patrick as well has shown how good he can be. They don't use them. The game script is just run the ball, and we'll try and win defensively and stuff like that. And I think that's a surprise that they've kind of been there as far down the list. But yeah, they're the two mainly in the AFC. But when you look at the AFC, I mean, it's stacked compared to what the NFC is. It really is. And you've got, I think Denver are on 7 and 9.
Yeah, 7 and 9.
And they're like 13th or 12th, and yet you've got the Vikings on 7 and 9. Right, and you've got the Vikings on 7 and 9, and they're 9th, and it just kind of feels like there are teams that are on much better records in the AFC than they are the NFC.
Yeah, I've got a list of it. It's approximate to the draft order, admittedly, but it'd be Denver at 10th and Minnesota at 13th, with Washington at 9th at 6 and 10. My NFC one, which is this is a bit bold of me, but I honestly thought they really would have a good go this year, is the Carolina Panthers. When you talk about a team with quality players all over the field, that was, I thought, what the Panthers had. We said at the start of the season, the Panthers, Broncos, and the Cardinals are teams that all are going to be very interesting to watch. And it's just not working out for him. Sam Darnold doesn't seem to be the answer. I thought he'd do a lot better than he has done. He's really not performed that way. He has been injured, I admit, and they've had to bring in Cam Newton. They've tried out Walker, can't remember his first name now, the quarterback. And yeah, I'm quite shocked that it's not really worked out. I thought that they were really in an upward trajectory. I thought Matt Rule really had a good stead on this team. I thought that defense was really going to take a nice step up this year, and it's good. The defense is still good, but they're offensively, they've not kept healthy. Christian McCaffrey's been in and out health wise. The quarterback's not stayed healthy. It's not been any better than it was under Teddy Bridgewater in that scenario. So I feel like they've disappointed because they've not taken that next step up. The Browns are definitely in the AFC. Have been the team that have underwhelmed me. They have been plagued with injuries a lot, admittedly. They had Demetric Felton and your other guy, running back, I can't remember his name now again either. But Jonas Johnson, that's the one. They were the running backs for a few weeks because they didn't have Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubb. They had the OBJ issue. I think Landry's stayed healthy for the most part, but Baker's been injured. I think he's for the most year. They've been a bit in and out on their offensive line as well. Their defense has stayed relatively healthy, admittedly. But I really thought with the personnel they had that they would take that next step up this year. I thought they would be the Bengals that are probably going to win the division at 11-6. Who the Bengals playing the last game? They're playing the Browns, and I think they'll beat the Browns, and they'll go 11-6. I thought that was going to be the Browns this year. I even maybe thought 12-5 for the Browns. I really thought they would take that next step up. I thought they know their identity, and then it was just improving on that, and that's what was happened with getting these players in, but they did, and the quality that they got in. They seem to still know their identity, but I don't think they've now got the right pieces in there for their identity. I'm not sure if Baker is the guy for them. I think when you talk about contracts and that coming up, they do not need to pay him big money. They just need a serviceable quarterback because their run game is so vicious with Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubb, but. Again, but there's been a health issue with that this year, and it just shows that you need a bit of a deep roster. If you're going to play that sort of game plan, then you need a deep roster, and they've struggled with that a little bit. It'll be very interesting to see what they do in the draft and in their free agency and the direction they go in. Andrew, for you in the AFC?
Yeah, I think we're missing a big one here. For me, it's the Ravens. They've been in the playoff conversation like since Lamar got there, and they've been spoke about, can they make that push to the Super Bowl? And now they're not in it. Yes, Lamar hasn't played games. Yes, they lost their whole secondary. But, we're talking about teams that we're surprised aren't there. Through the first portion of the season, for me, Lamar Jackson was my MVP. I was touting for him to be in for a shout. He is the main reason that they're not. Like I say, they've had lots of injuries on the defense, but they're a team I'm surprised isn't there. If that's what we're, everyone's had injuries this season. Everyone's had COVID. But, with the roster they've got and the steps they were making and how well they've progressed through the seasons, I really thought we'd be talking about them going strong into the playoffs.
Well, they can still maybe make the playoffs. They have to beat the Steelers. They need the Chargers to lose. They need the Colts to lose. They need Miami to lose. So that's a big ask, admittedly. So I could probably say they are. I don't think they'll beat the Steelers. I think that we're coming off of a really good game. So
just going back to the Ravens, they had injury problems before the season even started, though, didn't they? It's like, they lost Gus Edwards.
They didn't have a running back.
No, they had running back problems, and it kind of felt like it was all falling apart before it began. So I don't know if maybe that's why we kind of not forgotten them, but almost like that's not so much of a shock for us. Maybe I don't know.
I think when you get that many issues, then there's going to always be problems.
I think is it they've only, out of the last 5 games they've played, they've only lost them by 1 or 2 points. I think even with their backups, they've still been in it. Imagine if they had just one their starters. I think they would be in. Even with the amount of issues they have had, they've been in a lot of the games with their backups. It's just a bit of a shame.
It would be bad of us not to talk about the number 1 seed, really, because obviously, Adam, being a Green Bay Packer fan, you have got the number 1 seed in the NFC. Any surprise? No surprise? Happy with it? I can imagine. You got the home field advantage the whole way through if you get to the NFC Championship at least. How important is that going to be for Green Bay?
Yeah, I mean, it's huge to get it, isn't it? I mean, it means that they're at home all the way through now until the Super Bowl. It's not a massive surprise, to be honest. It kind of felt like it was what they were going for, and I think maybe 13-3 it does feel like maybe a win or 2 more than what I thought they might get. They had to play the whole of the West, so that was a big problem. You got 4 really good teams then, the Rams, 49ers, Cardinals, and the Seahawks. So to win all 4 of them was pretty big for them. But no, I think we always felt that there was a strong chance they would go and do like another 13-3, which is what they've done so far. So yeah, I think just all roads lead to Lambeau, don't they, until you get to the Super Bowl. So they're all in this year, and we knew that they were all in this year, and we knew that it was going to be, next year's going to be quite painful because they're all in this year. So yeah, it's just hopefully they can get over the hump of the NFC Championship game this year. And the only team that really concerns me is the Bucs again. It's the only one. The Rams don't at all, because I think that Stafford will choke, because he normally does. The Cowboys are hit and miss, but I don't think they're going to like going to Green Bay. Cardinals, I mean, the Eagles are that's another one. It's the Bucs and the Eagles. The other lot, I'm not really that worried about.
Well, of course, you'll be 14 and be playing the Lions the next weekend, so you're going to be probably finishing 14-3, which is really commendable. It's 2 or 3 more wins that I thought you were going to get. And like I said, I think it is an all-in season, because it could be an all-out year next year, unfortunately. Andrew, the Titans, 11-5, they're playing the Texans last game of the year. They're probably going to win that. They're going to go 12-5. I think they'll get the 31 spot anyway. I believe it is still up in the air, though, with the Chiefs. I think to clinch the number 1 seed, they need to win, basically. So I think they're gonna win that. Not had Derrick Henry for a large portion of this season. Everyone did think that. I think without Derrick Henry, that was sort of going to be it for them. He is their offense. Outside of AJ Brown, obviously they've got Julio Jones, who's not lit the world up for the Tennessee Titans at all, really, this year. But they're pretty much going to cement that top spot. They've been going to the playoffs now consistently for a few years. From your point of view, looking at the Titans, can they make a real deep run towards the Super Bowl? They're again going to get a first round bye, home field advantage the whole way through, and it's a tough place to go. Tennessee, they've got a real passionate fan base there, and a real passionate team, I think.
Yeah, they've really surprised me because after they lost Derrick Henry, I think every week I've had question marks over them, and they've won. I'm really surprised that we've got this far and we're talking about them being the number 1 seed, considering they've lost AJ Brown for a good portion of the season. Julio Jones has been out and not up to form. They didn't have any backup running backs in my eyes as a notable running back after Derrick Henry went out. Their tight ends have been in and out, and they haven't really got like a star tight end. It has really surprised me what they've managed to produce on offense, because their defense is always going to be good, isn't it? With variable there, so that's never going to be in question. I think when you look at the quality of the teams that they're going to be going up against in the playoffs, I can't see them getting there. You know, I think the other teams that are around them just for me look more impressive and look like they're better on both sides of the ball. I think Titans' starting records really carried them a little bit through the back end, but equally they've managed to keep their critics quiet and be the number 1 seed. So yeah, it's a bit of a weird one for me. For some reason, I write them off every week, which Adam knows because he does a preview show with me. But there they are, number 1 seed. So yeah, I'm going to say I don't think they've got the right squad this season without Henry to go all the way.
Well, they reckon that Henry may be returning. I'm not sure how much truth there is in that. But the problem is that they are in a side of a division where a lot of teams have hit form. The Chiefs, the Bengals have hit massive form at the minute. I mean, they have both looked so good, even though the Bengals beat the Chiefs at the weekend. But the Chiefs equally did look very good. The Bengals have just looked better. So, yeah, it's going to be a real fun playoff run. Lots of exciting episodes to come on the Franchise Tag Podcast. Thank you for joining us. Thank you, Adam. Thank you, Andrew. Make sure you check out the fantasy show on Thursday or in the week, and then we've got the preview show for the last weekend of the regular season NFL. What season it's been. We are very excited to now move into the playoffs. Week 18 we'll be doing. Hopefully we'll see the Steelers maybe get through. You never know. There is always hope if it's in Jacksonville. With Jacksonville in the Colts game. So, the mustache will be staying. We'll see you soon, and we'll see you for next week. Have a great